The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the very first box score breakdown show brought to you by Hoop Ball. My name is Adrian Benjamins and I'm joined by Neil Roachlani. Man,
I am so happy basketball is back and to be talking to you again. It's been like 7 days, but like as we said before, it feels like a month. I miss you.
Neil, we haven't talked for a week, and no joke, it feels like I haven't talked to you for 2 months. It's crazy. Hoops is on. The very first box score show ever. We're making history here at Hoop Ball. I'm so excited, Neil.
I know. We get to do our own show, and it's going to be a nightly show, five days a week, if I'm correct. And we're starting it now with the preseason underway. You will be taking the lead, and I'm going to try to join you on most nights, but we'll see how late it gets for me. So this is yours, my man. You're going to lead us in.
All right. So
what do you want to talk about? What comes up first? Do you want to do some news first? Do you want to go right into the box scores?
Before we get started, I want to remind everyone to go get the Hoop Ball draft guide that's out right now. I believe you're going to be listening to this on Monday. Neil and I are actually recording this on Sunday night, but I believe the Brewski 150 is going to be available on Monday on the draft guide. Go get it right now. Hey, you guys, it's October 1st right now. Neil, I don't know about you. I know you and I are in a couple drafts together, right? So we got drafts coming up this week, man. So go get the draft guide, you guys. It's here. It's time. The season is upon us. Let's get going. What do you think, Neil?
Hey, yeah, and I want to plug one more thing. Other Hoop Ball basketball leagues, which we are we're not going to add any more leagues, but we still have a few spots left. So we wanted to round these out. We don't have to, I guess, for Roto. It doesn't have to be an even number, but we do have some spots left for both rotisserie leagues, head-to-head leagues, cash leagues, and free leagues. So if you're interested, either email me. Either follow me on Twitter at ballwithneil, BALLWITHNEIL, and just let me know if you're interested. If you know the type of league, let me know as well. If not, I'll just ask you again once I hear from you. Those are going to start. The drafts are going to start this Friday, this coming Friday. So pretty soon we're going to do slow drafts. So it's going to take about a few days, but we have players from all over the world, so we want to just make it kind of fair and do a couple hours per pick and stuff like that. So let me know if you're interested. I just want to get this wrapped up before draft start this Friday.
All right, you guys. And, since this is the very first ever box score breakdown show, I want to talk about what our purpose is. This is going to crack you up. I wrote a mission statement for what we're going to do here at the box score breakdown show. Are you ready to hear it?
This is why I love you. You have a mission statement. I was like, let me just like finish eating my junk food and throw on my headphones, and here you are with like a mission statement and have like everything prepared and ready to go. This is fantastic.
You know what? I'm really so happy that you're here doing this show with me, Neil. I know there's going to be some nights during the season that you can't make because we gotta do the show after all the games wrap. And I know, you're in Chicago. I'm in like the LA area, and I know you're not going to be able to make a lot of shows, but I'm hoping you are able to make it on the shows that are where the games wrap early or on. So anyways, though, here we go. The purpose of the show for me is going to be just to get everyone up to date on everything that's going on fantasy wise. So if you missed the night before, let's say you went out on a date with your lady, you couldn't watch any games, you got home late, you can wake up in the morning, tune into the box score show. I want you to know every fantasy relevant thing that happened the night before. That's my goal for this show, is like you could tune into this thing every day and be up to date on what's going on. Lastly, I've got kind of like a purpose for the show. The first part is just to keep everyone informed, as I said. The second thing, course, we want to be entertaining, Neil. We want everyone to enjoy listening to the show. We all play fantasy for fun. We're all here for fun. So we're hoping we can bring some energy, some positivity, and just have a good time. So I hope all the listeners enjoy that. Lastly, the most important thing, we're here to help you guys dominate your leagues. If we aren't here helping you guys, we're not doing a good job, Neil. What do you think about that?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's I love your mission statement. And hopefully we can live up to that. I'll try to hold my part down, but I know you're going to be working hard on this. So thanks for letting me come along. And how do you want to begin this thing? Where do you want to go?
So
what's the first?
Quick.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. There's probably some news you want to talk about, right?
Just a couple things from news and notes. I know, this is the box score show, so we got to get into some box scores. And we do have some preseason games to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. But before we get started, I want to get into some injury stuff. Harrison Barnes, right hamstring injury, going to be out for, quote, for a while, expected to miss, at least a few games, right? Is going to miss all of preseason. Hamstring injuries are tricky. They could linger. They get re-aggravated. They scare me. Neil, what do you think? Harrison Barnes, not a guy I was really targeting heavily anyways. I most likely am just going to stay away from Barnes completely. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, he's never been someone I'd like his stats. So I have stayed away from him, especially now with some more playmakers on that Dallas team. I think the only thing I really liked about him was he was one of these guys that could go late and you could still get points, which is really hard for guys that go late. In later part of the draft. But this year, I'm not even sure going into the season I could count on that because of Doncic and DeAndre Jordan and Dennis Smith Jr. taking another year forward. So I was totally avoiding him, and now I don't know where to draft him. I guess if he was there in the very last pick of my draft, I would take him. But his ADP in Yahoo is still like in the 6th or 7th round. So I can't imagine he falls out that far from me. So I don't think I'll have him on any teams.
So the next guy I want to talk about, Lauri Markkanen. This one's a huge buzzkill for me, man. I was really excited to see the progression of Lauri Markkanen in his sophomore season. I heard some great things about him in the offseason. Neil, he put on like 17 to 20 pounds of muscle, looked amazing. High-grade lateral elbow sprain, expected to miss anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Some good news. It sounds like he's not going to need surgery and that they're just going to immobilize his elbow and let it heal. What are your thoughts on this, Neil?
Well, my first thoughts is, as a Chicago fan, very sad to see. He had such a great rookie campaign. I thought he was going to make another leap forward this year, and it's unfortunate. And I know how much you love Muscle Watch, so I had no idea how much he gained, but I think he's going to be a very good player in this league. And so we'll see when he gets back how healthy he is. I guess once we get to Chicago, we can talk more about what that might impact, but that's disappointing, especially at a draft early, because I think he was going in Yahoo like around the 5th round, so 5th, 6th round. So if you took him, you're going to be missing, maybe a month to 2 months of games.
Yeah, this one I'm just really bummed about, just as a basketball fan. And then fantasy wise, it's gonna bump up the value of Jabari Parker. Zach LaVine's gonna get more shots. I'm kind of hoping we see Wendell Carter Jr. get more minutes. Although what I'm hearing is that Hoiberg really wants to keep Wendell Carter Jr. at the center spot and not have him play any power forward. So I'm not quite sure if it's going to help increase his minutes at all. But anyways, just a real bummer that Lauri the guys that we're excited about, you want them to be on the ground running at the start of the season, like full strength shot out of a cannon. And so it's really disappointing when a guy misses preseason, misses beginning of the season, and then they got to start slow to start the season. So anyways, just wanted to talk about that. All right, let's get into these games, Neil. We finally have games to talk about. Preseason started Friday. Sixers against Melbourne United. I've never heard of that team before. So before we get in these preseason games, Neil, I think it's important that we not get carried away and go overboard with what's happening in the preseason, right? Like these rotations might not be correct. The minutes obviously are not going to be accurate. So do you agree with me that you got to kind of take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to preseason games?
Yeah, of course. And I guess what I am looking for, you said rotations with like you got to be careful about that. That is one thing that I try to figure out, like who's really going to start. Like we obviously know for almost all teams, the rotation, the starting lineup projections, but there's always maybe one minor tweak here or there on a handful of teams. So that is a big thing I pay close attention to. And I also look at like shot attempts. I'm not looking so much for points scored, but I'm looking for attempts and to see which players in like a starting rotation are getting the most shots off, or is it more balanced? Or and guys coming off the bench that we know are going to be bench players, are they sort of taking a lot of shots? And that's a slight indicator. Like they're obviously, like you said, take a grain of salt, but those are some of the key indicators I'm looking for in the preseason.
So I want to get right into this Philly game. And, Joel Embiid played great, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. No surprise there. Ben Simmons did his thing, flirted with the triple-double with 8 points, 8 rebounds, 14 assists. Not too much to talk about there, but there are 2 guys that stood out to me that I want to talk to you about. First guy, Markelle Fultz. Neil, I have been drafting this guy all summer long in my mocks. In fact, I just did a mock draft a week ago with Chef Ali and a couple of the Roto World guys. We did a mock draft. I took him in the 8th round. He looked really great in this game, Neil. 14 points, a rebound, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 6-11 from the field, a perfect 2 of 2 from the line, played 23 minutes. Neil, what do you think of Markelle Fultz?
I didn't get to see the game, but I like how you jumped on him and took him as a flyer, because this guy, from everything we know, this guy is going to be very good, assuming he's healthy. There's no reason not to think that. He came in as the number 1 pick in a very strong rookie class last year for a reason, and he's going to be one of these big 3 on the team. I think he's going to be very good if he's fine, and it looked like he's just fine coming in. So, unfortunately, the page I have on my phone, I can't see it's not showing me the Philly score. But anyway, I will say I don't know what his draft position is. Obviously, he wasn't considered to be a high ranked player by either of the sites, but I think he could be just fine this year. How was his one thing? Did he shoot many free throws? Do you know how his free throw shooting was?
He was 2 of 2 from the line,
okay.
So he didn't get to the line very much, but shot a perfect 2 from 2. Hey, 6 of 11 from the field. His shot looks much better. Worked all summer with Drew Hanlon. They kind of modified his shot a little bit. Looks a lot smoother. Hearing great things from the camp there at the Sixers. His teammates, guys like J.J. Redick, are talking him up. Another really interesting thing that I want to note, J.J. Redick came off the bench in this game. And if Markelle Fultz is going to start next to Ben Simmons, he's going to be a must-draft guy for me. As I mentioned, when I did this mock draft last week, I took him in round 8. I'm really scared that if he has a couple more really big preseason games, that his average draft position is going to shoot up. I really don't want to take him before the 5th round. I really liked where I've been getting him in round 8. So I'm kind of hoping that he flies under the radar a little bit. But I have a sneaky suspicion that the secret's going to come out on him and that he's going to be a popular sleeper on draft day.
Yeah, he's someone I'm probably not going to get then. I think the 8th round might be reasonable. I'm really worried about his percentages. I know he had a good shooting game in the first one. Last year, though, he just struggled so much from the field and the free throw line that it makes me nervous. But I think his other stat categories are going to be just fine. So We'll see. I want to see at least one more preseason game. All right. Who else did you think from that game or from that team?
One more guy I want to talk about, and I need your help on this one because, I'm not a big Robert Covington guy. I never draft him. I know he's a real popular with the hoop ball listeners and with a lot of the hoop ball crew. Neil, I've had this guy previous seasons. His shooting slumps that he goes through drives me nuts. What things that scared me is now we're adding Markelle Fultz. We're seeing the improvement of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Dario Saric is there. I'm just afraid that Robert Covington's going to kind of get lost in the shuffle of how deep this team is becoming. Here we go, Neil. 24 minutes. He had 1 point, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Now, the defensive stats, which we love from him, were still there. The 1 steal and the 2 blocks. But, Neil, he was 0 for 1 from the field. In 24 minutes, Neil, they were playing some team called Melbourne United, and he put up 1 point in 24 minutes. I just started this segment by saying let's not get crazy overboard about preseason games. And here I am, Neil. I'm getting crazy overboard about a preseason game. Neil, can you talk me off the ledge about Robert Covington, or do I need to jump?
Well, first of all, apologies to everyone listening in Australia. I don't think Adrian meant to offend your team that much. Some team called Melbourne United.
Just wait. Hey, just wait till we get later. There was some team called the Beijing Ducks that we're going to talk about later. Okay.
All right. Hey, we've got a great international following. Let's prop these guys up. Anyway, I have no idea how good that team is. Clearly, they're not probably as good as many NBA teams. But anyway, what I will say is I've been a little bit worried about Robert Covington this year because of the. He is someone who really fits what they need to do, but he doesn't. He's really like that ancillary playmaker and doesn't touch the ball a lot. They relied on him for threes a few years ago, and now that's not really as necessary. So I am going to say that he may be a little bit overvalued. I'm not going to panic yet, but if you're drafting him like in the 3rd or 4th round, I would. Like he has been in some mock drafts, I think I would be really nervous about that. Mid-round value, I think, is still fine. So,
see, and Neil, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Where he gets drafted, like that 4th round, no way. I mean, Neil, you could be taking guys like, I don't know, Gary Harris. No, Gary Harris is probably gone by then, but like Josh Richardson, maybe still on the board right there. I don't know, man. Right there in the 4th round, I'm taking like guys like John Collins or I don't know, Neil. I just can't do it. So anyways, I'm kind of glad that you're kind of on board with the way that I feel. Look, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope, because I know there's a lot of Bob Cub fans out there. So I hope I'm wrong. Neil, let's move on to the next game. Friday, there was also another game. Hornets and Celtics, they're playing tonight as well. So we'll look at what happened tonight. But one thing that stood out for me from Friday that I want to talk to you about is, they got rid of Dwight Howard. So there's 3 guys there in the front court. And I believe that one of them is going to emerge as a really strong fantasy asset. Cody Zeller, Frank Kaminsky, and Willie Hernan Gomez. It was Cody Zeller that got the start, put up 13 points, 7 rebounds, had 3 blocks. Neil, we've seen him have, back in the 2016-2017 season, he returned 7th round value that season when he was a full-time starter. It looks like he may have this starting center job. What do you think about Cody Zeller? I mean, he's very undervalued in drafts. I've been in some 12-team mock drafts where he doesn't even go off the board. Oh shit.
Yeah, I think he's not. He isn't someone that I've seen get drafted in 12-team leagues. I've had him in the past, and typically he was someone who you needed a lot of minutes from to get to that like 12 and 9 mark with a couple blocks or a block and a half or something. But looking at Friday's game, he played just 18 minutes, and he had 13-7 with 3 blocks. I think is very positive. I think he is someone that should be taken in a 12-team league. I'm not sure how high he'll go, but as we've talked about before, it's hard to get guys with blocks, especially the ones that don't kill you with free throw percentage. So he fits that category. He's not going to be. I don't know if he's going to finish in the top 100, but I think he's going to finish not too far outside of it, and he may do much better. So someone I would draft in the late rounds for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Now, he is coming off of knee surgery from last year, so that's a little concerning, but just take him late. He's not going to go early. I mean, if he's got the starting gig to himself, points, blocks, boards, I'm a little worried, too. He could ding you from the line. He shot 2 of 4 on Friday. We'll look later to see how he did tonight. And then let's move on to Saturday's games. And Neil, we're not going to talk about everything because I want to get to today's games, but one thing we got to talk about is the return of Kawhi Leonard. In 19 minutes, put up 12 points, a rebound, 3 assists, a steal. Didn't look exactly like himself, but to be expected, man. This guy missed almost all of last year. It's just nice to see him back on the court. Vibed really nice with Kyle Lowry, a couple really nice plays. It's really good to see that. Neil, are you back on board with trusting Kawhi Leonard?
Absolutely. I've been back on board even before this game. What I really like about this box score, he got 11 free throws. I know he only made 6, so he had a horrible night at the line, but that's we know Kawhi's a much better free throw shooter than that. This is just rust. I'm going to chalk it up to a much more pleased to see that he got to the line 11 times. Didn't do a lot in other categories. He didn't make a three-pointer, 0 for 4. Just had 1 steal, 1 rebound. But I think he is going to be the main focal point of this offense, and he's such a great defensive player too. I think he is going to return first-round value is my prediction still. So I'm all in on Kawhi.
Yeah, I'm starting to buy in on him. I didn't want anything to do with him during the summer, but if he's going to play in these preseason games and if he's going to look good in these games, then he's going to win me over. So I really like what I've seen so far. And, he's a guy you could possibly get in the early second round. And as you said, his upside is like first round value, maybe even top 5 player type value. So pretty nice target if we can get him that late. All right. One last thing I want to talk about in this Raptors game. Wait, Neil, do you got anything else that you want to add?
Oh, yeah. Just let's stick with Toronto real first. What do you think about the big men there? Did you?
That's exactly where I was going.
Valanciunas and Siakam both had some serious game.
Okay, so you were reading my mind right now, Neil. So, Neil, I have been teased and tempted with Jonas Valanciunas so many times, man. It's like, is this going to be the year that he breaks out? Is this going to be the year? And, I think what was part of what was holding him back was Coach Casey, kind of messed with his minutes, had some weird, funky rotation stuff at times. I'm wondering now if this is Jonas Valanciunas' time. Had a really great game, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, a block, 9 and 9 from the line. You love to see that in just 19 minutes. Now, one thing, though, that was interesting, Neil, I believe he came off of the bench, but might not be a bad thing as long as his minutes are still in that mid to upper 20 range. He could destroy second units. I really like him as a target this year. I'm willing to give him another shot. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, I'm seeing his ADP right now, and Yahoo is in the 7th round, 76 overall. I think that's pretty fair. I think the one thing I do worry about is he doesn't need a lot of minutes, but he does need in the mid to high 20s. I think he'll get that. And if he does that, I think he'll exceed his 76 ADP. I don't know what his CDP is, his current draft position, but right now I like that guy. I like him for this year. So that's the one guy I would target in the front court. Do you want anyone else on that team? You want to talk about Siakam, or you want to go over to Portland?
No, let's go over to Portland. And if you have anything you want to add, I mean, I didn't get too much. Of course, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, they're going to do their things. There's not too much that I want to add on the Portland side because I know we got to get to tonight's games. But there's one thing that I do want to note. I've been really high on Zach Collins, been taking him like in the last round of a lot of mocks. He looks really disappointing. So, if he continues to look bad in the preseason, I'll be off of Zach Collins completely. Just wanted to note that. Do you got any thoughts on Portland?
Not from the game, but the only thing I'd mention is I was looking forward to Mo Harkless coming back this year. I thought he might have a solid year with Shabazz Napier now out of town and might get some role on the wing and put up some decent stats. Unfortunately, he's injured for a while. I don't know his exact status, but probably someone who may not get drafted. And maybe someone you want to look on the waiver wire, or if you're in a very deep league or deeper league, pick up towards the end.
Yep. And then, Neil, I think we got to move over to another game that went down on Saturday, and this one has got me excited. And, Neil, you know how I get when I get excited, man. Let's talk about the Mavericks and the Ducks. And I got to talk about Luka Doncic. Neil, did you see Luka on Saturday?
I have not seen much basketball, unfortunately. I am excited, but I have not seen it. How do you look? Do you look like the real deal?
He looked amazing, Neil. 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks. I mean, yes, let's keep in mind they were playing the Beijing Ducks, but I didn't even know he could block shots. 5 of 7 from the field. Love that. 3 of 4 from downtown. Oh, yeah. And then 3 of 6 from the line. So you hope that he's is going to be a good free throw shooter. Neil, I love what I saw from Doncic. He looked amazing. Was rebounding in crowds. Would grab the rebound, bring it down the floor, facilitate the offense, looked aggressive. I liked the chemistry I saw between him and Dennis Smith Jr. They look like they can share that backcourt together. Neil, they have Doncic playing at power forward, which is crazy, but it's work. I mean, it looks like it works. This Dallas team looks great. Even DeAndre Jordan looks like he fit in well. It's going to be lobs coming from Doncic and Dennis Smith Jr. to DeAndre. I really like what I'm seeing from this team. What do you think about it, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I thought, as we talked about pre-draft, pre-NBA draft, we talked about he was the best player in this draft, and we both thought he was foolish for him not to go number one. At least I did. I think you were on board with that too. And I think he's going to be the number one. I know I was listening to Aaron Bruschi the other day on Dan's show. Aaron was talking about DeAndre Ayton as being his top rookie of the year in terms of fantasy. I still think Doncic is going to be the better rookie, both in reality and in fantasy. I don't know where I would draft him. I know he's probably going to jump up, right? He was going around his ADP is 88. I'm sure it was before in the 100s, so it must be now like in the 6th or 5th round. And I don't know if I'd take him that early, but I think I would take him certainly if he's in the 6th round for sure. I would take him.
So he was going somewhere around the 6th round, sometimes even later than that. Neil, his ADP is gonna jump up this preseason. It's got to. I hate it, man. I wish that he would just not play any more games and just sit on the bench. I wish we could treat him like Fight Club. First rule of Fight Club, you do not talk about Fight Club. Like we should not even be talking about Doncic right now, right? I don't want to bring any attention to him, but man, it's going to happen. There's going to be nothing we can do about it. You know what? When the actual draft day comes, he's going to be going in like round 4, I bet. So, or maybe even round 3 if he keeps playing like this. So, I was so excited to see his debut, man. 19 years old. I can't believe the Hawks, the Kings, all these teams passed up on him. Neil, every single league I play in where we did drafts, where we were drafting rookies, I did about 4 or 5 during the summer. Real drafts, not mock drafts. Like these are dynasty leagues. He was the number 1 pick in every single draft I was in. Like, how do all these fantasy freaks know that he's the best rookie? And teams like the Hawks and the Kings don't know that this guy is just going to be guys like this. They don't come around that often. They're rare. So I'm just excited to see him in the league now. It's just so great, Neil. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's. Well, there's one other game on Saturday night. Did you?
Okay.
Yes.
So one other game. Are you talking about the Timberwolves and the Warriors?
Yes. I don't know if there's much there, but is there anything there that jumped out to you?
Yes, one thing that jumped out to me, again, man, we still got to get to these games today. This is going to be like the longest box score breakdown show ever for the very first show. But one thing that I do want to note, Stephen Curry went crazy. Neil, this is a guy we've been talking about all summer because he's been slipping in drafts. Neil, I've been in mock drafts and I've taken him at pick 9 or 7 or pick 8. He looked amazing. 21 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. He had 5 threes in 20 minutes. Neil, he could be the steal of your draft if you're able to get him at the that 7 to 9 range. If he falls anywhere there, I mean, this could be the best guy in fantasy. What do you think about that, Neil?
Yeah, he's been on averages. He's been in the top 3, I think, almost every year in the last few years. Obviously, last year totals he was much worse because he sat out a lot, but this year he looks just fine, and he is gonna just, I think, go nuts. So, I think if you can get him, yeah. Once you go past, I think in most leagues, right, it's Harden and it's Davis and Harden, and then at that point, it's kind of like 3 or 4 guys, 5 guys that are hard to know. I don't think you can go wrong with Curry at 3 or go wrong with Curry at anywhere in between there, 3 and 7. So, I think he's gonna have a phenomenal season.
That's the only thing I got from that game. One maybe other thing I'll just mention real quick. I don't want to take too much time on it. Jordan Bell looked really good. He's a nice sleeper this year. He does get drafted, actually. He gets in that late middle round range. So it's not like he's going super late, but I do think he's a nice sleeper this year. Can play the 4, play the 5. We know DeMarcus Cousins isn't going to be ready at the start of the season. He looked really good in that game. So just want to also note that. Of course, Kevin Durant is the man. Klay Thompson, we know the usual suspects on that team. But I just wanted to note those two. Any last thoughts on the Warriors?
Nothing on the Warriors, but the Wolves, there's some couple of interesting things there. Do you know what I'm talking about, what I'm hinting at? Former MVP?
Oh, Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose might be starting for Minnesota in the backcourt. What do you think?
Don't fall for it, Neil. Don't fall for it. This is fool's gold. This is pyrite, Neil. Don't fall for it. No, he did look really good. And, I didn't actually watch the game. I saw highlights. And the one thing that I kept thinking when I was watching the highlights is, man, don't save that for the regular season, Derrick Rose. Like, you've only got so much left in your tank. Don't waste it on the preseason. He looked really good, man. I don't know, Neil. I mean, maybe like a last pick flyer. Would you take a shot at Derrick Rose?
Yeah, I might even do more than last pick. I may do.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying I might. Like, there are 2 guys from this game that I are now on my radar: Derrick Rose and Anthony Tolliver.
Man, I
don't know. I don't know. And both those guys are going to be on my. I'm not going to. Most of my drafts are. I have one coming up. They don't come up until Friday, so I'm not going to make any decisions until then. That's my first one. But they're going to be there. We talked about point guards late. If he's there in round 10, 11, Derrick Rose starting, Tibbs is going to play him 42 minutes. I mean, come on. He's going to at least.
No, I mean, so Neil, is he going to start next to Jeff Teague? Because Jeff Teague's got to be the starter here, right?
Yeah, no, I think he's starting at the 2. I think they're going Teague Rose backcourt. I could be wrong. That's what I hear. Again, I'm not going to make, and I'm going to follow this and see where it's going. And see if Tolliver takes over Taj Gibson for the starting role. I wonder about that too. Anyway, we'll see.
Those my advice, if you're in a standard league and you do want Derrick Rose, don't shoot early. I don't think he's going to be on a lot of people's radar unless he keeps doing this during the preseason. So I think you'll be able to take him pretty late. So maybe last round flyer. I won't be doing it, but hey, I could definitely be wrong. So I like the take. All right. Any last thoughts on that game? Are we good to move on?
Yeah, we're half an hour into this. We should probably get to tonight's games.
Oh my gosh, dude. I knew this was going to be a long one. And you know what? I can't even move on to today's games because you want to know why, Neil?
Why is that?
You want to know why?
Why?
Because my boy, Donovan Mitchell, played. He played and he only had 9 points and 4 rebounds and 4 assists, a steal and a block in 21 minutes. But he still looked good, Neil. And you know about my love for Donovan Mitchell. And I got to say, I'm gonna prove you and Dan wrong because you guys said he's not worth the second round pick. I think he is, and I'm gonna tell you why one last time. He looked really good. He was dishing a little bit more, had 4 assists. He's expected to do a little bit more of the ball handling, which we saw in this game. Ricky Rubio's gonna likely play a little bit more off the ball. The Jazz want to run a faster pace. I'm looking at a lot of improvement from Donovan Mitchell. I think he can. I've been taking him in round 2 because that's where you got to take him if you want him. And I think he's going to return value. So just want to note that. Let's get into tonight's games. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, where do you want to start tonight? Where do you want to go? I want to see you wearing a Donovan Mitchell jersey at some point, but I'm sure you already have like the entire line of Jazz clothes.
No, I don't. And you know what's funny? I'm not a Utah Jazz fan, and I am now because of Donovan Mitchell. So, and I really like that orange jersey that they got. I think it looks sharp. I think it looks pretty sexy. So I'm going to get one of those orange Donovan Mitchell jerseys. And Neil, let's get into this game tonight. Let's touch on the Miami Heat and the San Antonio Spurs because that was the first game of the night, or of the day, I should say. Spurs 104, Miami Heat 100. So let's jump into the box score right now. Let's look into this. Okay, so Rudy Gay, 13 points, 5 rebounds. What do you think of Rudy Gay this year?
You know, I've been drafting him late in most of my mock drafts. I'm worried now he won't be. I mean, he got 13 points in 14 minutes. I know it's preseason, but I think he is going to be an integral part of this team this year. I think he'll be the third player after Aldridge and DeRozan. I think he still has not plenty, but I think he has enough to contribute to be a good fantasy player. We've seen him be very good in the past. I think he is going to finish. I'm not sure where his ADP is. I don't want to screw up my screen here, but in our recording, but I think he's like going like last round, second to last round at maybe. I think he's going to be easily inside the top 100.
Yeah. I know you're a big Rudy Gay guy. I've been in mock drafts with you. You take him late. I think you're very safe pick late. He should have a solid role on this team. Still got a lot left in the tank. I think it's a great pick. LaMarcus Aldridge, 10 points as well. I think he's in 10 points, 4 rebounds. I think he's in for a really good season as well with Kawhi Leonard gone. My favorite target on this team is Dejounte Murray. Had 8 points tonight, 2 steals, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Did a little bit of everything in just 15 minutes. I'm targeting Dejounte Murray in all my drafts. I really like him. One last thing I want to note on this team. Jakob Poeltl is a interesting sleeper. I think Pau Gasol, I don't know how much he's got left. There's rumors that he might come off the bench. Neil, we've seen Poeltl put up some decent value at times in Toronto. When given the right minutes and given the right usage, I think this could be his time. What do you think of Poeltl as like a flyer or definitely a watch list guy? What do you think?
I think he's more than a watch list guy. I definitely would take him. Like we talked about hard to get blocks towards the end of your draft, and if you need someone with good percentages who's going to rebound and get a block or 2 a night, I think he's going to be just fine. I don't think he's going to play more than like maybe 24 to 26 minutes tops, maybe a little less than that. But I think even with that, I think he'll be serviceable, especially if you're in a 2-center league and you need a second center towards the end. I like him this year. Last thing I want to note, and then we'll move on to the Miami Heat. For you deep
leaguers and you dynasty guys, you guys are hearing me. I was really disappointed not to see Lonnie Walker in this game. Their rookie that they took did not play. I think he's dealing with some minor injury stuff. Was really hoping to see him in this game, so I'm hoping he's able to play in the next game. Neil, let's move on to the Miami Heat, and I need to start with Hassan Whiteside, a guy I've been avoiding everywhere during the summer because last year was very disappointing. You know, we saw him get benched down the stretch of games. The Heat are really deep in the front court with James Johnson, and they got Bam Adebayo, Kelly Olynyk. Was off of Whiteside. He showed up in this preseason game. 20 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks in just 23 minutes. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, this is worrying me in terms of I wanted to draft him like in the mid rounds, thinking he'd be a steal this year, and I don't know if he's going to last because of this box score. But anyway, Richardson was out. Waiters is obviously out for a while. James Johnson did not play, so either did Adebayo. So it was really kind of his night to go nuts, and he did. Also, the matchup against San Antonio, like you said, Gasol on the decline, and Portal's just coming up. So favorable matchup. I wouldn't read too much into this in terms of like thinking he's going to be back to second round value again, but certainly I thought he was. I tweeted with someone this weekend saying I thought he's going to be in the mid 50s, and that I was going to try to draft him in the 6th round if he's still there, 6th, 7th round. So we'll see. I like him a lot this year. That's really it though for my take on. There's nothing really else that jumped out at me because they had so many guys that were hurt that didn't play tonight.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because them missing Josh Richardson, James Johnson, Dion Waiters, Bam Adebayo, all those guys didn't play. Those are all really key guys. So as you said, don't look in this too serious. One thing I do want to note though, Justice Winslow continues to disappoint. In 24 minutes, had 5 points, shot it really bad. It's 14% field goal percent, just awful. So not too much else to mention here. All right, are you ready to move on to the next game?
Mm-hmm.
All right, next game up, I think we're the Hornets and the Celtics. And my computer is frozen. Do you got that game up?
I do. I guess the big takeaway is so Gordon Hayward has not looked phenomenal, right? He's been going like in the 5th, 6th round in most ADPs, or his ADP is currently that, and I think most of the mocks I've been in, he's been going that sort of range, and I'm not sure with all the depth on this team if he's going to be able to live up to that this year. He did take 7 shots, so he was, and Tatum took 16, and I don't know what that means, except I don't think he's going to be scoring 20 points, Hayward, this year, or close to it. I think he's been more around 15, and because of the other players on this team, he may not get to that 50 range in terms of fantasy value. That's kind of like my big takeaway on Boston.
I've been off of Hayward, and most of the Celtics all off season. They're just too crowded. I think, there's going to be nights where it's Tatum. There's going to be nights where Jaylen Brown goes off. There's going to be nights where Gordon Hayward looks good. Al Horford. You're just not going to know. I don't know. The one thing that I do like is that they found a way to start Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, and Al Horford. I think that's amazing because Neil, 4 of those guys play the same position pretty much. So I thought that was pretty amazing that they found a way to start all those guys. And I think Gordon Hayward's going to be okay. I think he's going to come around. Let's not forget, man, that gruesome injury. It's got to be tough to come back from something like that. I'm sure it's going to take him a little bit of time, but I think he's going to fit in really well with this team. And I think he's going to probably return some mid-round value. I think he is getting drafted ahead of that, but I think he should be pretty good. Jason Tatum, 16 points tonight, looked pretty good. I just really, I'm just avoiding all of the Celtics. Maybe Kyrie Irving is the guy that I go for if I'm like looking for a point guard in that like late second round range, third round range. Maybe I trust that Kyrie Irving's going to be pretty good just because he's so ball dominant. The ball's going to be in his hands. I think he's going to have a really good season. I really don't trust Al Horford. I'm really scared that with the emergence of all these other guys, his scoring's going to come way down. So I'm off Al Horford. All right. Any closing thoughts on the Boston Celtics, Neil?
They're going to be a great team to watch. But, yeah, fantasy-wise, they might disappoint because of all the great talent they have.
Yeah, I mean, reality-wise, they have to be the favorite to go to the finals, right? With Cleveland losing LeBron, I think it's got to be the Celtics that you peg in for the finals. But anyways, let's move on to the Charlotte Hornets. And, the usual suspects, of course, going off. Kemba, Nicholas Batum. But one guy I do want to mention tonight, Willie Hernan-Gomez, 14 points in 17 minutes. Coach Borrego was really talking him up, saying that his ceiling is really high. He's got a lot of potential. We talked earlier about how like the door's kind of open for this front court, right, Neil? Like somebody is free to step in. Do you think it can be Willie Hernan-Gomez?
Yeah, he's like the exact opposite of Zeller. Zeller needs like a lot of minutes to do well, and Hernan-Gomez doesn't. So if he can get, I just don't know where he fits in this team. Tonight they both, Zeller didn't play, Kaminsky started, or Kaminsky, did he play as well? He only played 20 minutes. But so I don't know who's going to get the backup minutes and how many minutes that's going to be. But if Hernan-Gomez can get into the 20-minute range, 20-plus minute range, he's going to be valuable. I just don't know if I trust it just yet. The one thing I want to mention is kid Ghost Chris did have a concussion, so he left early. And then Jeremy Lamb was someone I was targeting late as well. I don't know. I think he's still going to get high minutes tonight. Miles Bridges kind of went crazy and off the bench and had a great game, but I still think Lamb is a great wing to get late in your drafts if he's available. I think he's going to shoot and also put up assists and rebounds and the other categories as well. So I like Jeremy Lamb. 2 games in, I'm still buying him.
I love that take. I think Jeremy Lamb is a great steal at the end of your draft. He's got a late round average draft position. On Friday night, he put up 15 points in 23 minutes, was 5-8 from the field. I think he could be a really great sleeper for this season. And then, as you mentioned, Miles Bridges, man, this is the second game in a row that he showed up. 23 points tonight, 6 rebounds, played really nice. They may have scored on this rookie. He looks really good. So, not someone we're probably going to draft in any standard league, but definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Let's see how many minutes he gets. And definitely has been looking good so far, which is great. And then, one last guy I want to mention is, as you mentioned, Jeremy Lamb. I'm really curious about Malik Monk. Had 13 points tonight, played 23 minutes. I think that the team's really committed to make it work for Monk. And so I think they're kind of force him to get a lot of minutes this season. So I think he's worth in deeper leagues, like a last round flyer, just to see what he does. But I think definitely Jeremy Lamb is the guy that you want to own. All right, Neil, any closing thoughts on the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much Monk gets this year and Bridges. Those guys will be on my watch list because there is sort of opportunity on the wing. Batum is the last one I'll mention. He's someone who used to be sort of a fantasy darling, and now he's kind of dropped off. Has not looked great the first 2 games, so has not been taking many shots. And I don't know if that's just aberration or that's more design of the offensive flow. So we'll see. I want to keep an eye on that before I try to draft him in like the late rounds.
Yeah, I think Batum's going to be a strong fantasy asset this year. And Kemba Walker, who you can get in the second round, he might have a career year. Dwight Howard gone. We know solid usage really durable guy, never misses a lot of games. This could be his year. We're seeing a different pace and system from the Hornets, and I think it's going to benefit Kemba Walker significantly. Like, he may end up sneaking into like end of first round value, and you can get him. He's going to be amazing this year. All right, Neil, let's move on. Any closing thoughts, or are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's talk about your team, Neil. The Chicago Bulls took on the Pelicans tonight. I do not have the box score open yet. Do you want to lead in?
Yeah, I guess the one takeaway I'll take that I looking at this game. So obviously Markkanen's out, as we mentioned. Parker and Levine and Dunn are sort of the main guys, and they're going to get a little bit of boost. I'm not sure how much. They all had a pretty good game tonight. I mean, they scored 128 points. And that, a big part of that is New Orleans didn't play their starters that much. And I'm sure Chicago's excited to get out there and their starters play a little more minutes. So it's hard to read anything more than that Parker and I think Levine and Dunn might be pretty good fantasy about, at least until Markkanen gets back. They might overperform their draft. I think the one thing I'll take away is Justin Holiday, who was going to be more of a six-man type player, came and started tonight and took 10 shots, only made 4 of them, was 1 for 5 from 3, but he is someone last year when they were in full tank mode who put up good stats, and if he might be someone to take at the end of your draft and just plug in for the first month and then drop him once Markkanen gets back.
One guy I want to note is Bobby Portis. We mentioned earlier in the show that Lauri Markkanen is going to miss some time. Bobby Portis, 21 points tonight. He might be the biggest beneficiary of Lauri being out because he plays the power forward. He looked very aggressive tonight. 21 points in 19 minutes. Looked really good. Antonio Blakeney is a guy in really deep leagues that I've been drafting in like really deep mocks. 21 points tonight. I think he could be pretty interesting deep sleeper. Jabari Parker doing his thing with 15 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Zach LaVine, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Zach LaVine got paid. He wants to prove all those haters that he deserves that money. I think this could be a big year for Zach LaVine. A little worried about his efficiency and, I'm not drafting him early, but I think he could surprise a lot of us this year. Wasn't healthy last year. Neil, any closing thoughts on the Bulls?
No. What about your guy, Wendell Carter Jr.? What do you think? Did you get to see any of this game?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of Wendell Carter. Was really disappointed. I'm super glad that you brought him up, by the way. Super disappointed he didn't have any blocks, but I think the blocks are going to come. Don't worry. 11 points is nice. 62% from the field. You love that. So I think it's going to be okay with Wendell Carter. 7 rebounds, 2 assists. The defensive stats weren't there, and that was a little disappointing, but I think he'll be okay. And as I mentioned before, I'm a little worried that Hoiberg said he's not going to play Wendell Carter at the 4 spot, the power forward spot. He wants to only keep him at the center spot. So I'm really interested to see if he can start over Robin Lopez, because if he's going to be backup center, that's going to hurt him a lot. But, there will be some point during the season where he will definitely be the starting center of this team. All right, Neil, let's move on to the next team. Let's talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I mean, coming into the season, obviously Anthony Davis is, for me, the number 1 player in fantasy. Drew Holiday is a great late second round, early third round player. Randall, got to start tonight. Mirotic is out. I don't know if Randall had a good night, but I don't know if that's going to hold up over the season. I'm not really big on him this year. The one guy I was kind of curious about is Elfrid Payton. This is a guy who, unfortunately, has not put up great stats, but at times I thought looked at least like an NBA player. And I was wondering how he's going to fit in next to Holiday. He didn't really have a great night. 2 for 10 shooting, 0 for 1 from the line. He has struggles with the percentages, and I was really hoping maybe he had a great offseason in shooting and he came out strong. and maybe he could be undervalued, but he's probably someone I'm staying away from. So he's the one guy that I was kind of honed in on for this game, and I didn't really learn anything that makes me want to take him.
Yeah, 4 points in 25 minutes. That's not great. We kind of know what Elfrid Payton is, inefficient point guard. So I'm not targeting him anywhere. They have a young point guard in Frank Jackson who scored 16 points in 19 minutes, had 6 rebounds, very athletic guard. He had a lot of injury problems last year. I'm really curious to see if this young guy can emerge as a fantasy asset this year. The coaching staff talked him up. They're really high on him. So I'm just in really deep leagues. I'm keeping an eye on him. Drew Holiday, a guy I end up with in a lot of my mocks if I'm drafting late in the second round and I need a point guard. He, I think, is primed to go crazy this year. I think he's going to have a good year. Anthony Davis, the number 1 player in fantasy. Julius Randle, really curious to see him or Nico Mirotic. Mirotic didn't play in this game. So really curious to see which one of those two guys is going to emerge as like the better player to own there. But really interesting team for fantasy, Neil. All right. Any closing thoughts on the Pelicans?
No, ready to move on to the final game of the night. Your Los Angeles Lakers.
Lakers and Nuggets. Do you got this game open?
I do. So, I don't know Gary Harris's story. He would not play tonight. So I am assuming he's just, I don't think it's a serious thing unless you've heard something different. I was not aware of any major issue. So, Paul Millsap, just 1 for 5 from the field, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He did get 2 steals and a block, something that we're used to from him. Will Barton, not a great game, just 7 points, 2 rebounds, and assists on 3 of 9 shooting, 1 steal. Jokic just took 8 shots. He did go 8 for 8 from the free throw line, which is great to see. However, 0 for 3 from the 3-point line with 14 points, just 4 rebounds. Last year towards the end of the season, he was getting, double-double and even close to triple-double with the assists. Only 3 assists tonight. Jamal Murray, someone I know you like very much, 18 points, 2 rebounds, an assist, great shooting, 8 for 12 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3-point line and a steal. And then Torrey Craig, which I'm assuming is just not having a good stat line, even though he started the game. Anything on the Nuggets from you?
I love Jamal Murray. I hate to say it, I was a little actually excited when I heard that Isaiah Thomas was going to miss the beginning of the season. I hate to say that because I don't want to wish anyone to be hurt, but I just am a big Jamal Murray fan. I was fading him during summer because I thought Isaiah Thomas could take a lot away from him. Now that I'm not worried about that, I'm targeting Jamal Murray. So really happy to see him have a nice game here. As you mentioned, a little concerned about Gary Harris, but I'm sure it's nothing serious because Gary Harris has been like a 3rd round. He's got a 3rd round ADP. So we want to make sure that he's good to go for the start of the season. Paul Millsap in 21 minutes, only having 6 points. I don't know about Paul Millsap. Now his average draft position has dropped. He does go a lot later than usual, but I think I'm off of Millsap this year. Jokic looked great, and that's about it for the Denver Nuggets. Let's move on to the Lakers. What do you think of the Lakers, Neil?
Yeah, the one big takeaway was JaVale McGee, right? This guy can get a high percentage, solid rebounds and blocks, and tonight he delivered. So he's someone I might take a late round flyer on. Someone in the past who's been fantasy relevant, hasn't been fantasy relevant for a few years now, but maybe he comes back into the fold. I know he's got some health issues where he can't play a lot of minutes. I think it's asthma that he condition that he has. But anyway, he was the one guy that impressed me and someone who's now on my radar as I head into my drafts. I think it's a really good sign that he played 19 minutes in this
preseason game. We've heard of his asthma concerns. He's going to be limited minute wise, but for me, it's a really good sign that he put up 19 minutes here. And then Brandon Ingram, 16 points, 2 steals, 4 rebounds, 50% from the field. Pretty good here. I'm hoping to see progression from him. I want to see improvement. I'm really hoping LeBron James can make him better and bring out a better Brandon Ingram. And then really interested to see what this team does going forward. They got so many guys that could be good fantasy assets, but we just don't know yet like what the rotation is going to look like here. All right, Neil. Any closing thoughts on the Lakers?
Man, you need a drink of water. I don't want you to I don't want to have to go through the internet and try to hand you a glass. So take a drink of water. We've been talking for a while, so I know you must be a little hoarse. No, you want to wrap this up? Any closing thoughts? I know we've gone on for a while, so we I'm actually figure out a way how to tighten this up a little bit.
I'm actually
Dan's
coming
gonna
off
be happy
of a
with
cold.
us.
Well, you know what? We actually did 3 nights of box scores here because we missed Friday and Saturday, so we went much longer than usual. Going forward, we're only going to do the night prior. And I apologize, everyone. I'm actually recovering from a cold that I had earlier this week. Not to make any excuses, but it's been a rough week for me. But I'm so excited for the show. And I think let's wrap this thing up, Neil. Neil, listeners, hit Neil up at Ball with Neil. Hit me up at Adrian Benjamins on Twitter. You guys, we want to also answer some questions. Anything you guys got. We're so excited for this season, you guys. We just want to have fun. We want you guys to dominate and destroy your leagues. I'm so excited, Neil. What do you think, man?
Man, your energy is so wonderful. I love how you just keep bringing it up. So my energy, that is. It's so great to talk to you. Like I said, I feel like it's been forever since we talked, so I'm glad to be back on with you and looking forward to doing the show, hopefully as often as I can. So,
Neil,
this will be fun.
I don't know how I'm going to do these shows without you, man, because I don't know, man. I just love bouncing ideas off of you, hearing what you got to say. I don't know, man. There's going to be some nights where I got to roll solo. I'm not going to like it, but I'm going to do it. But I definitely enjoy talking to you. I haven't talked to you for a while, so I'm so glad that we're finally back on. Thank you guys, everyone, for listening. Really enjoyed the very first box score breakdown show. We'll talk. I think the next show we're going to do Wednesday and Friday. We're going to probably just do 3 times a week until we get closer to the season. Then we're going to do a weekday show Monday through Friday. All right, Neil. Thank you. We'll talk to you guys later.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.